close your eyes and imagine this. A boy, only 17, standing in the middle of the desert, wrapped in a coat of many colors. His name is Joseph. He doesn't know it yet, but his life is about to take him from the pit to prison, and then to the palace. What if your own brother sold you? What if the people who should protect you became the ones to betray you? Joseph's story isn't just history. It's drama, betrayal, hope, and redemption, rolled into one. And today we're telling it, from the very beginning. Joseph was the favorite, and his father, Jacob, made no attempt to hide it. He gave him a robe, long and flowing, decorated with colors that screamed, "This is my chosen one." Every time Joseph walked past his brothers, that coat spoke louder than words. And if that wasn't enough, Joseph started sharing his dreams. "Listen," he said one morning, his eyes bright with excitement. "I dreamed we were in the field tying bundles of grain. My bundle stood tall, while all of yours bowed down to it." The brothers froze. Their eyes narrowed. "You think you're going to rule over us? You, the youngest." But Joseph wasn't done. Wait, there's more. I had another dream. The sun, the moon, and 11 stars all bowed down to me." This time even Jacob, his father, shook his head. "Will your mother and I and your brothers really bow down before you?" But in his heart, Jacob wondered. Could it be true? The brothers, however, didn't wonder. They burned with jealousy. And jealousy, mixed with pride, is dangerous fuel. One day, Jacob sent Joseph to check on his brothers in the fields. When they saw him coming, their hearts hardened. "Here comes the dreamer," one of them sneered. "Let's kill him and see what becomes of his dreams." But Reuben, the oldest, pleaded, "No, don't kill him. Throw him into that pit instead." He secretly planned to rescue Joseph later. So when Joseph arrived, smiling in his colorful coat, they tore it off and threw him into a dry pit. Imagine Joseph's voice echoing from below, calling, "Brothers, what are you doing? Let me out." But their ears were deaf to his cries. Then a caravan of traders passed by, camels loaded with spices, on their way to Egypt. Judah said, "Why kill him? Let's sell him. We'll get silver instead of blood." And so, for 20 pieces of silver, they sold their brother. The dreamer became a slave. Can you imagine? Betrayed, not by strangers, but by your own blood. Rejected, not by enemies, but by family. Instead of hugs they gave him chains. In Egypt, Joseph was sold to Potiphar, captain of Pharaoh's guard. At first, it seemed like Joseph's story might end there, but even as a slave, Joseph worked with excellence. God was with him. Soon, Joseph ran Potiphar's entire house. But trouble was waiting. Potiphar's wife noticed him. Day after day, she whispered, "Joseph, lie with me." But Joseph refused. "How can I do this great sin against God?" he said. One day, she grabbed his cloak. Joseph fled, leaving the cloak behind. But she twisted the story, crying, "He tried to attack me." Potiphar burned with anger, and Joseph was thrown into prison. From a favored son, to a slave to a prisoner. Every step seemed lower than the last. Yet even in prison, Joseph shined. The jailer trusted him with everything, because when God's favor is on you, even a prison can become a place of preparation. One night 2 prisoners had dreams, a cupbearer and a baker. Confused, they told Joseph. Joseph said, "Interpretations belong to God. Tell me your dreams." The cupbearer dreamed of pressing grapes into Pharaoh's cup. Joseph said, "In 3 days, you'll be restored to your position." The baker dreamed of birds eating bread from baskets on his head. Joseph said softly, "In 3 days, Pharaoh will lift your head but in death." And it happened exactly as Joseph said. Before the cupbearer left, Joseph pleaded, "Remember me when you're restored." But he forgot. For 2 whole years, Joseph sat in prison, waiting, until one night, Pharaoh himself had a dream. 7 fat cows eaten by 7 thin cows. 7 full heads of grain swallowed by 7 thin ones. No magician, no wise man, could explain it. Then the cupbearer remembered Joseph. Finally, Joseph was brought before Pharaoh. He stood in royal halls, still wearing prison clothes. Pharaoh said, "I've heard you can interpret dreams." Joseph replied, "Not I. God will give Pharaoh the answer." Joseph explained, 7 years of plenty are coming, followed by 7 years of famine. Store grain during the plenty, and Egypt will survive the famine, he said. Pharaoh was amazed. Can we find anyone like this man, in whom is the Spirit of God? And just like that, Joseph was lifted from prisoner to prime minister. Pharaoh gave him his ring, fine robes, and authority over all Egypt. Yesterday's slave, today's ruler. Only God can write a story like that. When famine struck, Joseph's brothers traveled to Egypt for food. They bowed before him, just as his dreams had shown, but they didn't recognize their brother. Joseph tested them, wept in secret, and finally revealed himself. "I am Joseph, your brother, whom you sold into Egypt. But don't be afraid. What you meant for evil, God meant for good. The dreamer had become the savior. The betrayed one had become the forgiver. Joseph's story teaches us this. Your pit is not the end. Your prison is not your final chapter. When God writes your story, even betrayal can become blessing, and pain can become purpose. So, wherever you are, maybe you feel stuck, forgotten, rejected, remember this. If God could raise Joseph from the pit to the palace, He can do the same for you. Stay faithful, even in the dark, because God has the final word. Thank you for listening. And if you want more powerful Bible stories told with a twist, make sure you subscribe.